Requirements regarding a driver's logbook. Logbooks are usually used to determine the level of the non-cash benefit which arises due to private journeys using the company car and in relation to journeys to the place of work. In many cases, however, a logbook is used to document that no non-cash benefits have been obtained because the vehicle is used exclusively for professional or business purposes. Drivers' logbooks are subject to very close scrutiny by the tax office. Mandatory requirements in the context of professional or company car journeys. It is vital that the following information be recorded in the logbook: date of the journey, mileage at the beginning and at the end of each single journey, destination and purpose of the trip. This requires the exact address of the destination, including street name and house number. Business partners visited, listed in chronological order. This requires the full name of the business partner visited. If there is no specific person, the public authority, branch office, or construction site must be specified in detail. Any detours must be recorded too. Where a single professional trip consists of several legs, these legs may be combined in one entry. In this case, it is sufficient to record the total mileage at the end of the overall trip. That said, individual clients or business partners must still be listed in the logbook in the chronological order in which they were visited. Some of the details may be omitted where the business-related nature of the journey would appear plausible in any event, such as, for instance, in the case of couriers or sales representatives. In such cases, it is sufficient to specify which clients were visited and where. Special rules need to be observed as regards cab drivers and professionals who are subject to a duty to maintain confidentiality. Details to be provided in relation to private car journeys. For private car journeys, all that needs to be stated is the mileage traveled. Details to be provided in relation to journeys between dwelling and what is known as first place of activity and in relation to journeys home. With regard to journeys between dwelling and first place of activity, in German,
Erste Tätigkeitsstätte.
and/or the permanent establishment, as well as for journeys home, in cases where an individual maintains two homes, it is sufficient for the logbook to contain a brief note to that effect, along with the mileage. Details to be provided in relation to journeys that are partly for private and partly for professional purposes. If the professional use of the vehicle is interrupted for private purposes, then this represents a change of use which needs to be documented in the driver's logbook by specifying the mileage reached at the end of the professional journey. Use of abbreviations. Abbreviations or symbols may be used, provided that they are self-explanatory or their meaning is explained in an enclosed key. Form of the logbook. The logbook must be maintained in closed form, that is, in the form of a bound book. It must have been maintained promptly and in sequential order for the entire year. Documenting modifications. Subsequent corrections must be either highlighted and explained or excluded from the outset. Requirements as to electronic logbooks. Ultimately, it must be possible to gain the same insights from an electronic logbook as from a manual logbook. The GPS module must remain switched on during private journeys too. It is particularly important that subsequent insertions or modifications must be either excluded from the outset or recognizable as such. In the context of electronic or GPS-based logbooks, the entry of the purpose of the journey is carried out via a computer and thus after the fact. This must be done within 7 calendar days after the respective journey has been completed. What also needs to be documented is the date of entry and the person who made the entry. Other requirements for the application of the logbook method. All costs incurred for the vehicle must be recorded separately in the books and supported by receipts. It is advisable to create and maintain an individual general ledger account for each company car.